Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today I have a video for you guys showcasing a weapon, pretty much a resurgence in my mind anyways, or in my own context, because I believe this weapon has always been an important part of this game, but over time with changes, aka nerfs all over the place, the P416 fell outside of the meta of the game. Now, this particular weapon is one weapon that everybody kind of sought. Everybody wanted this weapon when we were playing the game post level, pre-level 40, sorry. And everybody wanted a P416. The P416 is a wonderful assault rifle. And the biggest thing for it now is the amount of accuracy it has. I think it's the most accurate assault rifle in the game. Very stable, able to deal consistent amounts of damage at specific points. In fact, it's not just you dealing damage, you can deal specific kinds of bullet damage at specific points on the enemy, meaning you can beam headshots from across the room depending on how good you are, or you can can basically land shots on weak points just to make a point that you have a very accurate weapon. Now, in the context that I'm using this weapon, I'm using it for a skill build because I believe that it's been able to do something for me that I've not been able to find in a particular named weapon that I've been wanting to use. Now, I use it for the skill build with my turret and with my drone. Yes, I know, I saw a comment the other day on Reddit, somebody making fun of drone and turret users, and I was laughing going, you must have a lot of time on your hands. Many of us don't have time. We have a small period of time to play, so the most efficient way is kind of the best way at this stage. And so I'm using it with the Empress International, which is actually a combination that I'm still testing out. So this build is a work in progress, but the weapon itself kind of shines. So let's do this. I'll talk to you about the build. I'll kind of walk you through the build for those of you who may want to kind of, throw these pieces together and see what's going on. And then we'll talk about the weapon itself. So I'm using 2 pieces of Hana U because I want to get the skill damage that comes from 2 pieces. Hana U allows for you to be able to get, skill that 10% skill damage on the second piece, and you can roll, skill damage as well. So that brings you to, 2 pieces of Hana U giving you basically 40%, skill damage. And again, this Hana U backpack that I'm using is a force multiplier. So I'm using a weapon that kind of allows me to be much more accurate. So I think at this point, the perfect combined arms talent really does work in my favor. For those of you who don't know what the perfect combined arms talent does, it says shooting an enemy increases skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. So every time I light up an enemy NPC, my skill damage pretty much goes up. So I'm using my turret and my drone, and as I'm shooting enemy NPCs, my skills are dealing much better damage in real time. And that 3-second mark continues to just run as long as I'm shooting enemy NPCs, and you continue to see the perfect combined arms basically being procced. If you look on the bottom of the screen, you're going to see that from time to time the perfect combined arms talent will proc as I'm shooting an enemy NPC. So that's the really cool aspect of it. And then for my chest piece, I'm using my best and most favorite chest piece ever. This is a Wyvern chest piece that when I got it, it rolled with glass cannon. And so I went ahead and rolled skill damage on it because Wyvern gives me 10% skill damage on 1 piece. And so it's a full-on damage blaster chest piece. When I'm in cover, that 25% of all damage that I deal being amplified is done for me automatically. Now, the downside is I take 50% damage amplified. So that's a lot of damage that you're taking to yourself. But to be very honest, you eventually learn how to play with it. You don't remember that you're wearing glass cannon until all your teammates are dead. That's the only time you're like, oh crap, I'm probably not going to be able to make it out of here, because once the enemy NPC just, sneezes towards me, I'm done. So that's the only downside to that. But when you're playing in a group, in a team, man, you can pretty much rock this thing on your own. In fact, I was playing a solo mission today with it, and I wasn't even really paying attention till then I realized, oh crap, you've been running around with glass cannon by yourself. And then it takes us to Empress International. 3 pieces of Empress International will grant you 10% skill health, 10% skill damage, and 10% skill efficiency. Skill efficiency being, I think, skill duration and a few other things kind of jumbled up together that improves your skill. And I just wanted to run Empress because, some people have been telling me to upgrade my Murakami setup and see what Empress can do. And I'm going to say I'm quite impressed with Empress. All I need to do on my PC account is get my capacitor to kind of see where I stand, but that's not the point. And then then we get to the star of the show, which is this particular weapon, which is my P416 that has Future Perfect. Now I'm going to tell you exactly why I've decided to go this direction with using the P416 and using Future Perfect, while there is a particular assault rifle that can also do the job of Future Perfect very well, basically giving you the Future Perfection talent. And this is the mechanical animal. In fact, it's actually quite good in the way that it works. But again, there is something to say about its stability, and there is something to say about its, all of the different, I would say, aspects to it. So if you notice, the P416 pretty much has a very decent stability and a very, beautiful range compared to your mechanical animal. So this is exactly why I'm using the P416 in this context, because the way that Future Perfect works, you actually have to get the kill to be able to proc the overcharge bonus. If you read the talent here, it says weapon kills grants 1 skill tier for 15 seconds. It stacks up to 3 times. Now it says weapon kills at skill tier 6 grants overcharge for 15 seconds and has a 90-second duration. And I get it. The 90-second duration is kind of rough. You got to be there chilling and waiting for this thing to get back up and proc. And to be very fair, that's actually pretty decent. There's nothing wrong with you actually waiting a little bit if you do have that particular 90-second wait time. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, you're giving yourself overcharge, which is something that the developers have kind of made to be very well regulated so that people don't abuse it. I used to wonder why overcharge was not necessarily made to be very strong if you actually invested into it in your build. And then I remember that if you leave that in PvP will be already unplayable as it is right now with skill players going against weapon players. If skill players get their hands on overcharge in a higher uptime, God forbid, the Dark Zone will be a mess at this point. So I can see why they probably decided to do that. But on the other hand, the beauty about the overcharge too is you're able to get a lot of damage out of it, and you're also able to get a lot of skill efficiency. So adding to all of the bonuses that you have from your build, from your gear, from your items, this is what really comes into place. And you also have a weapon that's able to hit shots at a high RPM, basically having good DPS and getting some really good damage numbers. If you notice with the way I modded it, I actually did mod it with the critical hit chance mod, critical hit damage mod. I don't know, why I thought about that, but I was using there is an underbarrel that you get using the technician specialization, and this technician specialization basically allows for you to pulse enemy NPCs that you pretty much just aim at. So once you aim at anybody, they get pulsed, and so when they're pulsed, it means that they have the potential to now start eating increased damage. So that's one of the reasons I did that. But ideally, I have to say, after the testing, I didn't like it. So I'm just going to go back to my extra 20 round magazine, which allows me to keep firing much more because of combined arms. And so I'm able to get the very best out of this particular build. And so this is basically why I believe the P416 has that utility to be able to get the job done. Now, I get it. The mechanical animal is also going to give you much more if you just put in a little efforts to aim and all of the above. And that's perfectly fine. To be very honest, I think the mechanical animal is more than likely the better bet, but I will take the extra 30 RPM and I'll take the extra stability and accuracy over the mechanical animal at this point. And even in many other cases, there are other cases where things like these happen. And this goes with my second weapon, which is a named weapon that I use to back up this build, by the way, because Future Perfection and, Future Perfect can be very difficult to proc. And so I use the Harmony as a backhand just to, land those shots to get perfectly in sync, which allows for me to gain 20% skill damage for 5 seconds and then get 20% weapon damage if both skill and weapon are hitting. I get the doubling effect. So it's very good, and it's a backup in this case because I'm looking for that overcharge with a higher uptime, if you were to get what I mean. And at this stage, you're playing in a more specialized way. You're being very picky in the way that you actually run this build. And so even in the case of the Harmony, I was, many people on the comment section said, the Harmony is a good weapon, but if you had an MK17 that had in sync, just regular in sync, it would do the job and actually grant you better base damage on your weapon. And I had one, but it wasn't a max rolled one, so I deleted it today MK, and I'm going to be looking out for just a regular MK17 rifle, because you do have a higher base damage with those, and adding that with the, pairing that up with in sync can actually change the game in your favor and give you respectable weapon damage, as you're pretty much taking out enemy NPCs. So these are some considerations, for you to be able to kind of go through your build and look at. Just because a talent is relegated in the perfect form to a specific weapon, under a weapon class anyways, doesn't mean you can't try other weapon classes with that talent to be able to kind of get the best out of it. And being in a legendary, enemy NPCs are constantly running away from you. They're constantly being annoying. So there is nothing wrong in destroying them. And, just for a bonus, we were playing this particular room in this mission, and I did something that pretty much melted the entire team. And this was absolutely unintentional. We have somebody here proccing this talent where they sit in cover and they give us extended skill damage, and their overcharge procced. And then somehow I fired this thing and the radius was too big. Did you see that? Let me go back and rewind it again. The overcharge pretty much just hit. At the instant that I was about to fire it, or after I'd fired it, the radius started to grow. Boom, just like that. I fired again, the overcharge was procced, and then before you know, the radius hit me and killed me. My own skill. So I was already down. He was trying to get me. I think this is somebody on our team. And just like that, before you know what's happening, the enemy NPCs cornered all of us and pretty much made mincemeat out of us, because for some reason, I think he misclicked or something. And then boom, this one guy, he was down, 2 people down. Before you know, the whole team wiped. So when you're using overcharge, be very careful that somebody else on your team is not using overcharge. Be very careful that you guys are, maybe coordinating, because, you never really know. Overcharge is a good thing, but overcharge in this instance showed how much of a terrible thing it could be if you're using some of the skills. And plus, the chem launchers are very notorious for actually doing this. But this legendary mission was such a wipe and such a disappointment. I felt so bad for the team because they had done so much work. Everybody was playing very well. I mean, yes, there was a little bit of, maybe miscommunication, but we weren't talking. But that was a really weird scenario. So that's how powerful overcharge is. Take, very good care of yourself while using overcharge and using the chem launchers. They are the ones that will come back and bite you in the butt. I think the oxidizer was the one that got me there because I was using skill damage and, pretty much cleaned out the entire team. But if you have any other questions about this particular build, if you want to know what what I think about it, or if you have any suggestions to allow for the build to be better, please let me know in the comment section. I'm running the technician specialization as well with this. Mods that I'm running are skill haste mods and skill efficiency mods. Basically, that's what it is. Skill haste is basically one part of your skill efficiency anyways. And I finally found some extra mods here on my PC account that I could use to buff my turret and stuff, but I haven't augmented them yet. So I'll be working on getting this build to be much better and, kind of gain more out of it. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. If there's any other question, like I said, ask. The comment section is full of veterans who are happy to help you. And I guess we'll talk in another video. Peace out.